Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of POVincent. Well guys, it's been several years since the God of Thunder has had his own solo film, and this one has been highly anticipated and highly hyped. But was it worth the wait? This is my review of Thor Ragnarok. Thor is on a quest to save Asgard from an impending doom, but Hela, the goddess of death, returns to conquer Asgard. Thor is then left on another planet to become an intergalactic gladiator and runs into his old ally, the Hulk. So the trailer for this movie was released a while ago, and one of the comparisons people were making to it, that it seemed like that this next Thor movie was going to have more in common with Guardians of the Galaxy than the previous Thor films. And honestly, they're not wrong. It tries to have a very similar color scheme to Thor, and as well try to bring the kind of comedy that comes from Guardians of the Galaxy. And also, this movie is a combination of two stories. You got the combination of Ragnarok, the famous Thor storyline from the comics, which I will admit I've not read, and you've also got the Planet Hulk storyline that you're trying to push in here, which I've seen the animated movie for that, though I'm aware the ending was altered for, I guess, kids or whatever. And honestly, I think things get muddled in there. Because you got two stories where one just kind of gets watered down, and they're pushing together. Plus, you're trying to fit a kind of tone and feel that we haven't had in the previous Thor films, and you're just kind of pushing the Guardians of the Galaxy feel on it with all the jokes and laughter. Now, at the same time, don't get me wrong, a lot of jokes and moments in the movie are funny or fun at minimum. And, you know, I'm totally for that. I'm cool with that. The Thor movies always try to implement some comedy in there because you've got this godlike alien, interacting with just normal human beings. So that's always been there. This movie, they have a ton of it in it. And as I was watching it, I was kind of thinking about Doctor Strange. You know, Doctor Strange, it was a really good movie. Benedict Cumberbatch, great job as Doctor Strange. But in that movie, you had those moments where, like, they just put jokes in there, and honestly, the jokes didn't need to be there. You just had to let the scene be what it was. The joke was still funny, but the scene really didn't need that particular joke in there. With Thor Ragnarok, they crank it up to 10. There's just so many moments in the movie. It was like, we don't need to put another joke in here, you know? It's like, oh, but you know, our hero, he's having a moment to think about what has happened. Oh, wait, no, we got a joke. We got to put a joke in here now. Put in the joke. You're like, oh, wow, this character's backstory, that's really harsh. I'm like, no, we got a joke. No, sorry, we got to put the joke in here. There's just too many jokes, and it kind of really lessens the overall threat of Ragnarok and our villain and all these other things that's going on in there. It's just like, it makes me really not get invested in the movie because even the characters are just being overly funny. Like, you know, some of them are, you know, like, it comes from their personality, but like, it's just, okay, no, this is too much. It seems out of character. And it's just, I'm having trouble really getting invested in what's going on. And I just found that really disappointing. And also, finally, I'll say this movie tries to cram in a lot of information because we got these colliding storylines that are trying to make work together. But at the same time, there's information we're not given. And it's just like, okay, wait a second, but what about that? You're kind of glossing over it. Yeah, I just found a lot of problems with this story, as well as how the humor was handled in it. Let's move on to characters, and I'm not going to go over all of them because there's too many. But we're going to start, of course, with our main character, Thor, once again played by Chris Hemsworth. Thor, you know, he's got the big job. He's trying to save Asgard. You know, he's always been saving Earth before, now it's Asgard, and so it's kind of like also in Thor the Dark World. But with Thor, previously in the movie, Thor's always been arrogant. Much like his fellow Avenger Tony Stark, arrogant, but Thor's always, you know, different forms of arrogance, you know. But Thor's always been cool, because he's always been fun, and at his heart, a good guy. And a bit charming at times. With this movie, after a while, the charm kind of wears off. And there are moments in the movie, the way he's treating other characters, it's in character with him, but then at times the way he treats Hulk or Banner, it just feels like he's just kind of using them instead of like asking a friend to, hey, help me out here. And there's moments where he's in character and moments where he just feels like a little bit out of character. Chris Hemsworth's performance is fine, it's just like the writing at times is a little... for me. Let's move on to Loki, once again played by Tom Hiddleston. Loki is in this movie, and Loki is in this movie. Moving on. We got Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner and the Incredible Hulk. So we have Hulk, and he's become like the grand champion gladiator of this planet. He's just fighting all the time, fight. But he's not turning back into Banner. And this becomes an issue. And after a while, you just kind of realize whether Mark Ruffalo is in Hulk form or whether he's in Banner form. He's just kind of there for comic relief and action. Not a whole lot. And once again, that just runs into the problem of like, okay, we get it, funny times. And even when he's Banner, he's just kind of freaking out and like, I can't take this, And Mark Ruffalo's performance as Banner has always had that vulnerability of Banner where he's always worried about turning into the Hulk and hurting people. Even when after becoming an Avenger, he's still worried about his destructive power. And I've always loved that about Mark Ruffalo's performance, but now it's just kind of like played off. It's like he's just he's like, like he's Tweak from South Park. He's just like, worried. He calms down after a while, but it's like, this is not satisfying. Let's move on to Tessa Thompson, who's playing Valkyrie in this movie. Valkyrie, she's like the good character, the valiant warrior who's fallen off their path and, just kind of like basically become, a bitch. But she's fun in this role. I did enjoy her at times, and her backstory just, it makes you feel for her a little bit. But not that much, because you got all this other crap surrounding, and it's just like, I kind of care about her character a little bit. For the final character we'll talk about, let's get into Hela, Goddess of Death, played by Cate Blanchett. So I was really excited when they casted Cate Blanchett because she's a really good actor, very talented. And plus, this is our first female main villain in the Marvel movies. Very exciting. And plus, she's the Goddess of Death. If anyone's going to be able to take on Thor, the God of Thunder, it would be the Goddess of Death. But unfortunately, she's just a bland Loki clone. She hates Odin, wants revenge on him, and wants to conquer Asgard and rule it and destroy stuff. There's really not much else to the character. Cate Blanchett's performance does elevate it a bit, but not enough to save it. She's a really forgettable villain, unfortunately. So let's talk about the action. We got Thor, God of Thunder. We got the Hulk. We got several other warrior-type characters. The action, the choreography, it's nice. But unfortunately, as I said before, since I'm having trouble really being invested in the character's plight, since really the movie itself isn't taking this huge threat seriously at all, the action is just kind of, it's nice to look at, but there's nothing really behind it. I really never, there's some moments in the film it was like, oh, but just like, not much. Just like, one like, oh, and it's just like, oh. I guess it like I said, the lack of investment in the characters just really hurts the action, as it doesn't really in any action film. All right, let's talk about special effects and just overall visuals in the movie. So as I said at the beginning, a lot of comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy, including the movie's color scheme. So many colors, so many greens and blues and reds and purples and all these other colors. And, they're nice. Kind of. In Guardians of the Galaxy, the colors were very vibrant and they really popped out at you. In this movie, it's just like they just like splattered the colors all over the place. It doesn't pop out to me as much as in Guardians of the Galaxy. And it kind of gets bland after a while. You're just like, you're just kind of tired. You're begging for gray after a while, to be honest. As far as the special effects go, it's a Marvel film. The special effects are solid. The CGI is there. It's working well. I do feel like there was too much CGI, but at the same time, with a film of this nature, would that be hard not to do? Would have liked a few more practical effects in there, but it's not poor quality special effects. They're good quality special effects. So, guys, would I recommend you go see Thor Ragnarok, or would I recommend you give it a skip? Guys, going into this movie, I had the best expectations. I heard many great things. The Hulk was finally in a film outside the Avengers, and like I said, I've heard great things, but unfortunately, I just don't see it. I'm not seeing where all this hype is coming from. I'm really not. And I knew the movie was going to be a more funner, laugh out loud, laugh a minute movie than we've previously seen with the Thor films. However, I just think it was just misdirected. The director of this, Yeah, I've heard such great things about him, but from this movie, I'm not seeing it, and I think also do with the writing and maybe the producing of the film. I know I'm in the minority here, but this movie, it's got no heart. It just doesn't really have any heart to me. But at the same time, I can't recommend you don't see it because there are events in this film that will shape things going forward into Infinity War and just other future Marvel films. So if you're an MCU fan, you're gonna see this movie regardless. But honestly, I would just wait till it comes out, like on Redbox, rent it, get a bunch of friends together, watch it, and save yourself some ticket money. And guys, listen, like I said, I know I'm in the minority here, so I know you're probably gonna crap all over me. And you know what? I'm ready to accept that because if you like this movie, fantastic. But me, I've got to tell my personal truth on it. Well, guys, that was my review of Thor Ragnarok. Please tell me what your point of view is down in the comments. I'd like to have a conversation with you about it, even though I'm pretty sure I'm going to have some awkward moments in conversation considering what I just said about the film. But regardless, let's talk about it. And if you did enjoy this video, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, please leave me an upvote and follow me for more reviews. But until next time, guys, thank you for viewing things through my perspective.